Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Dental Up Podcast, brought to you by Keating Dental Arts, a full-service, award-winning dental laboratory. Each week, you'll learn tips and techniques from real-world dentists, bringing you in-depth interviews, motivating stories, current events, and sports. Here's your host, Sean Keating.
Hey everybody, Sean here. I want to welcome you to this week's episode of the Dental Up Podcast, brought to you by Keating Dental Arts. My guest this week is a graduate of the University of Utah and Creighton University, the author of Love Your Smile, How to Choose a Cosmetic Dentist, a book that helps patients understand what cosmetic dentistry can do for them. Practicing from Salt Lake City, Utah, please welcome Dr. Jonathan Campbell DDS. How's it going, Dr. Campbell?
Good. It's a beautiful spring day here in Salt Lake City. And the Jazz won last night, so we're all happy here.
Dude, that's so cool, man. I know I always like to start off a little with sports, and yeah, we got the basketball playoffs going, man. And Utah, they're leading like 3-1 over Oklahoma City. Who would have thought that, man? I mean, freaking, that's just Utah. I mean, you never really thought so much. I remember the mailman back in the day, but Oklahoma City, man, they got some, stacked team, and God, to be down 3-1 against, the Jazz, man, you guys got to be pretty happy there, huh?
We're stoked. After losing Gordon Hayward to Boston this year, we thought all was lost, but they drafted this rookie Donovan Mitchell that's just had a out of control year, and they've been playing some good team ball, and so they've been really fun to watch. So it's been great.
So cool. Can you imagine if they end up, going on against the Eastern Conference? I mean, Golden State's up like 3-1 with San Antonio. Houston's, it's going to be tough. Everyone thinks it's Houston, Golden State going to be playing for it, but you never know, baby. Utah, your guys are still in the hunt, man. Look at us, LA Lakers, LA Clippers. We ain't nowhere near it. You got Utah in the mix, man. That's so awesome, dude.
Little Utah.
I've never been to Utah, man. You guys are pretty close to us. I got to get out there. Got to, check it out. I hear it's just so beautiful and everything else. What about, you guys don't have any football? You a football fan at all? You got any special teams you like there?
The University of Utah, they joined the Pac-12 a few years ago, so I follow them closely, being an alum and everything. So we go to a few, try to get to a game or two a year, and usually follow them closely. The NFL, not so much, just because we don't have a team. So I think everybody just sort of assumes we're all Broncos fans since that's the closest team. But yeah, so it's mostly NBA gets most of our attention, and then college sports, and we've got a few minor league teams. But yeah, that's the Jazz is where it's at. So.
No kidding, that's so good. Well, hey man, just hearing that, I want the Utah Jazz to go all the way, baby. How's that for Dr. Campbell and all his great patience that we've worked on through the years? You guys deserve it. That'd be neat, And then on the other side, to Philadelphia, it'd be kind of neat to see Philly's up like 3-1 over Miami, and then you got Cleveland. They're up against Indiana. No, they're tied with Indiana, but Cleveland's been up there so much with King LeBron and all that stuff. Forget that. Let's get some other teams. So it'd be kind of neat to maybe get Boston to play Philly or something, to go against the Western Championship, against those guys. But Philadelphia, man, they were terrible for years, and they got a couple young kids. That Simmons kid is finally playing, and that Emblid, that center dude, he's a monster, man. I mean, he's just he's a force to be reckoned with. So I really think and he's not even been playing the last few series. I think he's been hurt a little bit, but yeah, it's kind of neat. It's my favorite time of season at basketball. I'm not a big guy in the midseason, because the Lakers been horrible for so long, but come playoffs, man, I'm there, but it's kind of neat, It'd be neat to get somebody other than Golden State and Cleveland in the finals, What is it? Yeah. In the last 3 years they played each other?
Yeah, I think like LeBron's been in like this 9 straight or something like that. So enough already.
Exactly. You're done, man. Well, dude, let's dental up here, man. And, Dr. Cam, I can't thank you enough for, being with us for, I don't even know how many years we've been together. How long we've been working together? You remember when you started with us?
It's been a long time. I think it's probably, we've got to be close to a decade, I would think.
Yeah.
So.
And it's like I was just doing your numbers, man, and like you're like top three account with us. And I don't. I say that some other guys are big guys and stuff, but you are one of our in Vegas. If we were in Vegas and we were at the Gamblers and I was a pit boss, you would be called a whale. I mean, dude, you've done like almost $1 million in lab work with us, and you got a couple associates, and you guys are just crushing it. But let's just start off at the beginning and just kind of why did you get into dentistry, and at what point did you think I want to be a dentist?
My dad was a dentist, and so
okay.
I have a picture when I was in kindergarten that said I want to be a dentist. But I think that's just because every kid probably puts down what their dad wants to be, or a firefighter, or a professional athlete. But growing up, I didn't really after I was a little older, I didn't really think I wanted to do that. I served a Mormon mission, and while I was doing that, I knew I wanted to do something in healthcare, and came home and worked with my dad for a summer, mostly because I thought it'd be easy to get time off and whatnot, and was able to actually kind of see what it was that a dentist actually did, and I kind of was sold from there. So it was a good choice. I'm glad I picked it. It's been a great profession.
Oh, that is so cool. And Pops, I mean, so how did that work with Dad after that, summer working with him or whatever? Did he kind of get a little liking to it? Did he try to push you to it, or did he just kept it up to you mostly, or how did that work out when you were first working or kind of in the office?
He was really good about not, trying to sell it. I think he enjoyed it. He enjoyed being a dentist, and so, but I think he felt like if that was the route I chose, that he didn't want to feel like he influenced me one way or another. So I think he, provided me a nice job that summer that worked out well, but there was definitely not a hard sell on, yeah, you should be a dentist. So, which was good. So it allowed me to kind of, make the choice on my own. So
no kidding. There's so many fathers, like even my kids, like, football, baby, get into football. I'm one of those kids playing the NFL or college. When you're 5'0" and 100 nothing, it's like, man, so many parents live through their kids, with the sport things. And I wasn't really bad, but I just, you dream about it a little bit. But at the end of the day, man, those aches and pains that we did, and all I did is play youth football through high school. It was just like a nightmare. And later in life, you just got all this arthritic joints and everything. But so I'm kind of glad they didn't make it into it, because they'd probably be 2-3 years in, and who knows. But that's cool that Pops, your dad, was a good dad. The way he didn't drive you into it, he kind of let you make your own choice, and so that's awesome. That's the way parents should do it. That's what I kind of did, but not so much. So tell me about your school and how that worked for you. Where'd you go to college, and tell me a little bit about your journey there.
So I did undergrad at the University of Utah. Has kind of a commuter campus, so it was just basically started out generals, and then once I had decided on dental school, took the prereqs, and I took the DAT and did okay on that, and was able to get into dental school after a year early, so which was nice. So and then I decided to go to Creighton University. Utah at the time didn't have a dental school. There were that we have two now, but we didn't have there wasn't a dental school in Utah at the time. So they had a deal with Creighton University, which is in Omaha, Nebraska. Go Blue Jays! And the deal was that if you were a Utah student and you went to Creighton, then the state of Utah would subsidize your tuition, and so it was a great deal. And then as part of that deal, you did your first year of dental school up at the University of Utah Medical School. So we took like gross anatomy and some of the basics hard science courses with the medical students, and then went out to the last 3 years out to Creighton University. And it was a great school because they don't have any specialty programs there.
Okay.
And they, as a dental student, I placed 10 or so implants before I had graduated, and the first root canal I ever did was an upper molar, which looking back now is kind of crazy that they thought, just throw some kid at that. But they were really trying to train students that could go into more rural areas where they wouldn't have access to specialists and be able to help people. And so I picked it because it was a good deal financially, but I think for someone that, wanted to be a general dentist, it was great because there was a lot of good exposure to all the different specialties and a chance to do a lot of things. So.
No kidding. How does it work with the patients? Where did you guys get the patients from? Just the general public, or how did that work out with the dental? I don't even know how that stuff works basically, but
yeah, I think, it was just, I think people that were, Creighton had a really good reputation in the community. And I think a lot of people sort of assume that if they went to the dental school that they would get good care, which you always do because you have an instructor that's looking over your shoulder closely. So you're not going to totally botch it. And then it was, it's a little less expensive, although, for the, time value of money, it's crazy. You take, a occlusal composite, which you can, do in 20 minutes or less. Yeah, 5 minutes. But I mean, total appointment time is 20. Yeah. And then, in dental school, that's, 4 hours somewhat. So, exactly. So the fact that it's, 20% less, is that really worth it? So, but yeah, so it was mostly just people that were in the community, and they did a few things with people that lower income and stuff to try to help them out. But yeah, I think it was mostly just people looking to save a little bit of money and knew that Creighton had a good reputation. So,
what about Creighton? Now that's in Nebraska. I knew that, right?
Yeah, so it's in Omaha, and Nebraska is unique. They have a University of Nebraska, which is the Cornhusker football team that's had some fame over the years. They have a dental school as well, so it's kind of interesting because Nebraska's not too big, but they had 2 dental schools. So now we've got 2 in Utah. So that program's kind of ended, and now everybody just kind of gets to stay closer to home if they are interested in dentistry. So
what about with Nebraska now? Lots of corn and lots of good steak, or what, man? I'm just a big meat and potatoes and corn Irish, but it's just like Nebraska. I just hear it's so great. And then you got the Oracle of Omaha, Buffett. But I bet that was pretty neat. Kind of a lot of flat land, or what?
Yeah, very flat. As someone from Utah, where there's lots of mountains, it was hard to get oriented and figure out which way is north and south because of the lack of mountains. And lots of, the meat was good. I mean, as a dental student without a lot of resources, I ate a lot of steak just because it was cheap and easy to cook and good. So good job, but it was good.
That's awesome. All right, so man, we got done with that. Tell me, what did you do? Did you go work with Pops and come back home and work in Pop's office, or did you start an associateship? Tell me a little bit about your journey as you got out of dental school.
Yeah, so I graduated in 1999, and I looked at a bunch of stuff and decided, well, for the time being, I'm going to come back and join my dad. Okay. And he had 3 treatment rooms and then an office that had another office within the same office that just kind of had an extra chair in it. It was sort of like, so it's kind of like 3.5 treatment rooms. And so I worked out of that semi treatment room part of the time, but I mostly worked evenings and Saturdays, and I started a emergency dental service. And I did a ton of calls in the middle of the night. My first patient I ever saw was someone by myself in the middle of the night where I took a tooth out, and they wrote a check that bounced. So,
you're kidding. But dude, the experience you got in the trenches and doing that. See, that's where I get some of these guys on the podcast that some of my bigger, more, experience just really crushing it. They're the ones that really got a lot of early education in the trenches of doing everything. Like you said, do a little root canal, sink it implant, doing that kind of stuff. And, just really kind of being thrown in like sink or swim type thing, but it really benefited you, I think, as you get into the mainstream, as your years you start putting, because heck, 99, 2000, baby, you're a puppy, man. You're 20 years in. I mean, but man, you're just crushing it like a 40, 50-year veteran here, man. But so tell me a little bit about Pops at the office. Did he, I'm sure he mentored and taught you a lot, but did he ride you hard, or tell me some of the things that really brought to the table for you when it came to dentistry?
I think probably the most important thing I learned from him was how to treat patients and how to interact with people in a way that helped people to trust us and kind of become lifetime patients. I think that was probably the most important thing. He was incredibly kind and generous and willing to kind of help people out. And so I think that was probably the most important thing I learned. And then, it's incredibly helpful to have somebody when you're, even after you've been doing it for a long time, to kind of say, "Hey, this happened. What do you think?"
Yeah,
and
exactly.
so to have that right out of the gate with somebody that I trusted and who had my best interest at heart was just a real blessing to be able to start that way. And it was probably a slower start than maybe it would have been if I had, gone someplace else where some, office that had more capacity and more initial demand. But it was a good place to start. And the emergency thing I did for a long time really worked out well. And after 3 or 4 years, we expanded the office, and this is the one I'm still currently in, to 8 treatment rooms, and hired a couple associates to help with the emergency stuff since I didn't want to do that forever. And that's kind of where we're at now. So
that's awesome, man. That's so cool, dude. Now tell me a little bit about with on the layout of the practice now. So you're up to, because you guys are doing so much, but and I know you got 2 associates, but how many ops do you got working? And tell me a little bit about the layout, and tell me a little bit about how many hygienists you got rolling, and assistants and all that.
So we have 8 treatment rooms, and 3 of them are dedicated to hygiene. And so with 2 associates, how we work that is I basically I work Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5, and then I do every other Friday, 8 to 5. And then the 2 associates work a staggered schedule. One of them's here from 8 to 2 in the morning, and the other one's here from 2 to 8 at night. And then one of them's here on Friday, and one of them's here on Saturday. So at any one time, there's 2 doctors in the office. And then we do assisted hygiene. So we have a hygienist that works out of 2 treatment rooms, and she has an assistant. And so she's seeing somebody. She has 30 minutes, so we're seeing somebody coming in every 30 minutes or so. So it's kind of the equivalent of having 2 hygienists. And then we have another full-time hygienist that just does single book, that is here kind of all the hours that the office is open. So
no kidding. What about on your hygienists? They've been with you a while, probably key. I mean, key to any awesome practice is hygienists, believe it or not. But how your girls there, been with you a long time? You like, some doctors, I hate paying them much, but it's almost, you want to pay them, it's just, I don't know. Tell me a little bit about the hygienists and how long they've been with you and what you think about them.
So we have, 5 hygienists that work for us to cover all the hours that we're open. Okay. And, we've got one that's been with us for as long as I've been here. And then that's Corey. And then we've got another 2 that have been here. I guess another one, I've got my sister comes in and works 1 day a week. She's a hygienist. And then awesome. Another 2 that have been here about 5 years, and then one that's been out of school for about 2 years. And for the most part, we pay them on commissions. They get a percentage of what they do. And I think they do, I don't know, definitely better than what the average hygienist gets paid, for sure. So I think they're pretty happy with the way their compensation works out.
What about with now? Tell me a little bit about your CE, like, practice management. What are you doing there? Because staff is just so on cue. Anyone that stuck out that helped you guys practice management wise that you could tell us about? Some of our younger guys and some of the people that are just looking for something. Anyone out there that kind of helped you more so than others when it came to like a practice management type thing?
I've never had a consultant. I've spent an inordinate amount of time on Dental Town, reading about what other people are doing and what they're up to, and been willing to, try lots of stuff. I've always enjoyed that part of the profession, is the ability to kind of try new things and try stuff out and see if it works. And but yeah, I haven't, so like Sandy Pardue, it's on Dental Town. I've enjoyed a lot of the stuff that she has shared. But I mean, it's really, there's just a lot of great minds there that have shared good content. Now with kind of the transition to a lot of stuff on Facebook, I follow a few threads there and get a few ideas there, here and there. But yeah, I've never, as far as practice management stuff, I've never had kind of a go-to guy or a consultant. I've just kind of, of course, I think think it helps with having a dad that did it since 77. Our practice has been open, so to have somebody that had kind of a going concern and some of these things figured out made it easy.
It really is neat. I mean, because it just blows me away that, but you do get a lot on Dental Town. What about CE? What do you do for CE? Anything in particular? Do any implant stuff? You done any other like endo stuff or?
Yeah. So I take a ton of CE. I've done a lot of the stuff down at the Spear Institute. Gordon Christensen's down the road from us, so I've taken all of his stuff. I do a lot of stuff online. I earned my fellowship in the Academy of General Dentistry, and so the Academy of General Dentistry, the local chapter here in Utah, does a good job of bringing people in. And then for the last few months, I've been participating in a Spear study club that's been kind of fun to get together with some of just the guys that I practice nearby and kind of talk about what's going on and go through some of the content that they've got there. But I would say that over the last decade, I've probably spent as much time with kind of Frank Spear stuff and his faculty as anything. So
that's so awesome, dude. And we say that, and it's like I'm really excited because we're going to be sponsored by Spear Education coming up here. And I always said, I started, I'm not doing any sponsor because I don't want no pay from, I'm not a, flavor of the month type guy. And, I'm doing this just kind of with our accounts and just doctors and just, get some pearls of, wisdom with some guys that are actually practicing in the trenches. And they reached out to us too, after we did a few of their people there and Samir and Dr. Mark Fleming, and they want to sponsor our little podcast a couple times a month that they'll bring on some of their people. And that way, I think some of our doctors that listen, and we get quite a few guys that listen and download thousands. It's kind of scared when my guys start showing me the stuff. I thought it was just a few people, but it's quite a bit of people. But, it's just something I want to give a little bit more meat on the stick for the guys when they're listening in, that maybe we can go over some things that, they might be able to do in their practice or might be able to improve upon it in their practice, or, so we got a little bit more education on a couple of podcasts a month. So we'll bring in some people from there. But I just love hearing you. I mean, because you got such a freaking awesome practice going, and I could see, you've had some Spear with you, you've had some of your pops helping, and so education is so important, in this field and in anything.
I agree.
But I'm a big Coys guy and I'm a big Spear guy too. And I just think, because I'm West Coast, so I've always been used to them here. And even like Richard Tucker up there in Washington. I mean, I was such a disciple of his with his Tucker Gold, man. I mean, he was just such a gold guy when I was first starting off, just learning from them on, that type 2 GRBT. And it's a lost art nowadays, and no one wants the
for sure
yellow. But, I just see some of my sharpest guys are some of my most educated guys, but I think it's important, that you're continuously exercising that brain of yours on your head there, and just try to, especially as things change, and if you can practice smarter and not harder, that's what it's all about. And I just think when you start listening to these different people that have things to offer, the dentists and their practices, I think it's just a good thing, and it excites me. It definitely does, for sure. So, dude, tell me, man, you published a book and everything, and it's on Amazon, and it's called Love Your Smile, How to Choose a Cosmetic Dentist. Now, what inspired you to write that? And tell me a little bit about that. Maybe we can, David and my little guy here, maybe we can get it on the podcast too, where it can show where it is and everything else for doctors that want to pick that up. But tell me a little bit about that on your book, Love Your Smile.
Well, it's an ebook. I don't think you can get a print version of it, but it's my initial intent with that was to, I've always enjoyed kind of tracking stuff with the internet and things. So I'd get people that go to my website, and I figured the only thing that I had to offer was an appointment. So I thought, well, if I had something else to offer, then maybe I could generate a lead or nurture a lead and follow up with them. And so that's kind of what it arose out of. And then I just felt like I had a good system for delivering consistent results that I thought if people knew sort of what expectations they ought to have as they go through the cosmetic dentistry process, then they could be better educated consumers as far as, making those decisions. And, that's probably been, it might be 10 years ago that we did that. And I think that at the time, that was kind of just after, I think there was a big cosmetic boom with lots of, 3/4 all ceramic Empress restorations. And it kind of seemed like maybe things were getting overdone a little bit, at least was kind of my perception of things. And so it's kind of partly an effort to sort of say, hey, if you're going to get things done, at least make sure the person that's doing it's kind of going through the right motions, because we all know how to cut a crown, and we all hopefully have a lab that can make something look right. But the most important part with doing that kind of stuff is good diagnosis to begin with, and good communication with the lab, and having a good lab. And it's not just cutting a tooth down for a crown and gluing it on and calling it good. It gets even more complicated if you're doing more than one.
So true. To break the context or not, and to where you're loading up on that occlusion, are you going to be hitting right where your finish line is, and just bonding it properly. It's like rocket science almost, some of that stuff. It's like I get so impatient when I watch crowns on my chair side here. We do chairside live stuff, and it takes like 10 minutes for just the bonding and just to get it tacky to play. And it's just so much too. It's like, and then those 3/4 preps, like, dude, you got like a gingival third on the lingual of 2-3 millimeters that they're keeping. So you got these like 3/4 plus preps. And it's like, dude, just cut that enamel off and make it a full crown, and we'll just call it easier and make it more predictable, because I can bring line angles where I want and everything else. But when veneers are done right, when a doctor can prep them properly and it's worked out right and they bond it right and they're not popping off, they're pretty bitching. They really are neat. But you're so right about that time, 2008 or so. It was just such a boom time. And then the recession kind of hit, and all my doctors practice limited to cosmetics. Those guys they lost their practice in half, and it never came back. And it's just because you can't just keep a practice totally limited. You got to do what you got to do, and it's single tooth dentistry. Onesie twosies is 80% of your practice. Well, that's what it is, and you can sleep pretty good with that kind of practice. But to be able to treatment plan, warn dentition, and just know how to build a mouth properly and to be able to diagnose it properly is so important to have. And I think it was really the great days back then, with people had all their real estate, equities and all that. It's like, it kind of was, it was kind of just settled everything down in a way, and the strong will survive and the strong have. It's just amazing how we made it through it. But a lot of doctors, I used to have some other big time guys that were back in your spot that you're in now, but they're gone now. They're just it's just tough, man. It's a tough thing when you just kind of limit yourself, and just you have to, you got so much overhead and you need to push this, I need 4 roundies a week or whatever. It's just, no, you can't really think that way in this field. I think you did, like you said, your dad was just really good treating people, very kind, and you know what? You kind of show these patients what they need and what they should do, and give them an educated, evaluation of their mouth, and be nice, treat people good. The golden rule, man, and it comes back to you, and things work out, and practices grow, and you have happy patients and happy staff, and that's what I see from guys like you and most successful dental practices out there. They're just kind of practicing the golden rule, trying to do things right, trying to do things, properly, and get things happen. So hats off to you, baby. And that's awesome. So your book, man, we'll get some info out on that. We'll have guys load that thing up and see what it's about. Heck, maybe we do a new one coming up, man. Some different things, and get some of my pictures on that stuff. It was 10 plus years. We get some new stuff, before and afters, and
definitely time for an update on that thing. But I think it's a good resource for a consumer that really wanted to be educated about what the process should look like and what ought to happen. And I think for a dentist out there that was reading it, that's maybe getting into cosmetic dentistry to know, you know, and hey, these are what the steps ought to be. Although I think there's better resources to learn that stuff from than my book. But for a consumer that wants to know what the process ought to look like, it's a pretty good resource.
Oh, heck yeah. I think it's awesome. I mean, you remember Denmat, remember what they did with those Lumineers? They got so many patients educated out there, and then they're going to all their dentists, and the dentists are like, well, these Lumineers are kind of fugly, you know, they're not real pretty. They're monolithic as heck. And I remember all that big wave of, publicity. And I got so many of my doctors, can you do them? I'm like, heck yeah, I can do them. I can do them better. I mean, because we do these prepless, minimal prep. I mean, I like to get a little bit of a prep so I can just have a little bit of a finish line, for emergence profile. But, when we do them out of the foil, off the foil, veneer, and we do it with a feldspathic, and heck, we can get those things down to 3/4 and there's even a mask material with a Noritake that we can block out, the darker stumps with it, and it's just amazing, and it's kind of a lost art. There's only a few. I got a couple older Korean dudes that are the only guys that know how to do it with the foil, and these guys are like, I still do quite a bit of foil veneers, baby, and.
You guys did a case for me here, within the last 2 months, where it was just 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, and kid that had just kind of smallish teeth with spaces every, between all the teeth, and we did no prep, and I think I just prepped in a couple, softened up a few edges, but it was basically no. I mean, I sent him home we put veneer or temporaries on just to kind of see where we were looking, what it would look like, and kind of checking excursives and things like that to make sure we're okay that way. But then I didn't even bond the temporaries on. I just walk around without them and come back in, and you guys did a great job. It turned out great.
So freaking cool, dude. I love that, man. Yeah, and I love where even too, I remember when the snap-on grills, that was real big too, but I love doing that stuff, man, because I do a ton of temporaries or pro temps here, and it's like just for the hell of it, because Halloween and I got all sorts of grills with like diamonds I put in, and all this, I just to mess around, and stuff. But those damn things, you got a person with a jacked up grill up there. I mean, a lot of times they'll need ortho, this and that, but more so than not, I mean, if we could just put one of those in just to show them what it's about, and kind of like to do that, we'll charge it out. And then if they do the finals, we'll just credit it back. But they're going to be a little bit too bulky without being prepped, but they can get an idea. And it's kind of a neat thing. I mean, I've seen people where, it's wedding pictures or something. You need something just to kind of do it. And I've done it for a lot of younger kids that have been in the movies or little actresses and stuff. Our friends, have these daughters that are in movies and stuff, and they had their front teeth missing. So we do these little, temporary snap-on. I call them strap-on. Strap-on. No, a couple of our doctors named that, but no, that's cool. That's awesome, dude. So, what about do you do social media? How do you get all your patients there, man? I mean, because you're booming. I mean, you see so many people. How do you get patients your practice? Are you big on social media at all, or is it just word of mouth, or do you do direct mail? Or tell me a little bit about that.
When I first got out of school, we were just hit the yellow pages super hard, and so it's been interesting to kind of navigate that transition, because that used to be kind of our bread and butter. And so I probably have one of the first dental practice websites that exists. Just my dad was smart enough to realize, okay, maybe that's where things are going to go. And so I think because of just the fact that we have a website that's been around forever, we do pretty well with some of the organic search stuff. And so we show up pretty well for most of the search terms there in Salt Lake. And then we do some stuff on Facebook, and haven't really done anything with Instagram or YouTube or anything like that. And then I do some pay-per-click advertising with Google and a few things like that, but a lot of it's word of mouth. But I spend a fair amount of, as far as like what we're actively doing, probably the most common thing is pay-per-click stuff on Google.
Yeah, you're doing a lot. I mean, that's awesome that you're doing that, because it's just it's just helping with everything, with the word of mouth, with a little bit of the social media. I mean, that's huge. And you need to do that, especially when you're working with the public, man. They see that stuff and they're all going to their phone with it. And there's John Campbell. Oh, yeah. He's the greatest dentist in all of Utah. So how far are people coming in from you, man? They're coming from all over, I bet, huh?
Yeah, I think the population of Salt Lake County, which is, it's a city kind of like Los Angeles, where it's just sort of spread out. And you got all these little smaller communities, obviously on a lot smaller scale, but there's about 1 million people that live in Salt Lake County, and we draw from all over Salt Lake County. And then we get people that come from further away sometimes. With some of the marketing that we do, every once in a while we'll get somebody that comes from a different state, although not too much of that. And when it does happen, frankly, I kind of try to discourage them a little bit, just because I think the follow-up's important enough and I figure there's got to be someone that's closer by that can do this for you just fine. So Utah's kind of interesting because our fees are lower than a lot of other places in the country, and so we are almost kind of can do some dental tourism. It's almost like going to Mexico to get your work done if you come to Utah. Just because our fees are lower.
I wish more dentists would do that. They're like, no, I got to charge $1,200. Dump it down to 800. You'll have that chair filled all day, and it's like they don't get it. I mean, it's just same thing here, man. I mean, I got LA up the street from me. I got San Diego down the street from me, and and then even in my cities between Newport Beach and Irvine, Santa Ana, and Anaheim, I mean, there's 30%, 40% difference in charges between city, and it's just stupid. I mean, but some guys, I don't know. It is what it is. I remember Howard Friend always telling me about his 6 through 11. He'd give you 4 to 13 for the same price as 6 through 11. And if you bought it now, he'd do that 6 through 11 at a discounted fee of like $6.99 a tooth, or it's like $4 or $5 grand for 6 to 11. And, he figured he had to, pay the lab another $100, $200 more for the other 4 units. But, he'd have patients in that chair every day. And I think it was like $6 grand maybe, or it was like $5 grand or $6 grand. But I butcher that story every time I tell that. But it's just, I don't know. It's just some guys, are fee for service. This is my price. That's what it is. And they work 2 days a week or whatever. And to each their own. But, you get guys like you, I mean, that, we're open mornings, we're open nights, we're open Saturdays, we're going to give you every opportunity to come visit Dr. Campbell's Legacy Dental, because we're going to be open for you when people need us to be, and not, okay, I'm in on Tuesdays and Thursdays and it's from 10 to 2 and, or I don't know. Some guys are just like worker bees, you got to be a worker bee, especially you're still pretty young, dude. I mean, just keep pushing this. Another 10 years, man, you're going to be set. I could see you having 2, 3 more practices, man. Because you know what? You can be miserable, like I always say, making $3 million a year in your one dental practice, or you could be miserable making $9 million with another 2, and you're not going to be any more miserable on the first one or the I'm serious, man, especially if you got your, systems in place and everyone's, on point. And it's freaking beautiful when you do anything in life where it's kind of predictable and, you enjoy doing it. And I know you enjoy it and I know you love it because we feel it and we can see it, but, so tell me a little bit about your day, what do you do when you get in? How does it go? Tell me a little bit about your basic day, what you do and how you do it. And if you can, tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we start every day 15 minutes before with a little team huddle where we go over each patient we're going to see that day and kind of any special needs they might have. If we're doing something that's kind of out of the ordinary, kind of just make sure we're all on the same page, and that we kind of have a little quote or thought of the day, try to get us all in the right frame of mind, and then on the hygiene schedule, I have the one hygienist that's working with an assistant, so I'll have anywhere from 12 to 16 exams usually that I need to do every day. And then on my side, we schedule the way we do our scheduling. We schedule one column, which is sort of our production column, which are things that we have sort of planned amount of time for. And then we have another column that's kind of our overflow column where we, put in emergencies and little simple stuff that, the assistants can do, or a lot of it can be delegated. And I think as far as, day to day, I place a lot of implants. We restore a lot of implants. So if I don't have at least one or two implant things on my schedule every day, that's kind of odd.
That's awesome.
I love doing dentures, and so we've kind of been actively kind of promoting that. So I've usually got at least, 2 or 3 denture patients on my schedule every day where we're doing, one part of the denture process. And then filling the rest with some crowns and fillings and a bigger case. I'll probably do a bigger case at least, one a week or so.
Every week.
Probably
that's very good.
filled in there. Yeah.
That's so cool. And that's like one of the first guys I've ever heard say, I like doing dentures, man. There's so many guys because they don't get it. It's like, take the right impression and get to write just the basics. And if you can get those basics down and get a lab that can kind of, get it down a little bit, it's kind of rewarding, but I don't know.
No, yeah, I love dentures. That's like, we were talking about cosmetic dentistry earlier. You talk about cosmetic dentistry, that's like about as good as it gets. Taking somebody that really to look at them and they're like scary looking, and then you can pretty easily make them look pretty nice. Yeah, there's lots of issues with adjustments and getting used to it. I think a lot of that's just kind of having a good heart to heart that, hey, this is going to take some getting used to. And if you're just one of those people that can't get used to it, then we can bail you out with some implants. But I enjoy the process. So
that's so cool. And it does. It makes it such a neat thing when you got a person who looks like Dracula, and then the next thing you know, man, they look like freaking Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise or something. Not Tom Cruise. Not Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise got that central right in the middle of his nose, man. I hate that. I had a friend that he had this thing, man. It was right in the middle, and it was like hard. So I had to do this frame like a PFM and layer it and build the frame out over on the tissue, and we had to fake it out. But what a difference. Because he had this thing in for years, and I always looked at him and I said, "Gay, man, that thing's messed up." And as we looked at it, his interdental papilla and everything, it's like, oh, dude, it was harder than I thought. We had to do it twice to get it right, but we just, it's just amazing how you look at a person, and when they got that central right straight in their nose, it just bugs the crap out of me. I hate that. But the problems of a dental tech.
It is bad to have to always be noticing people's teeth, and getting questions about people pulling their cheek to want the diagnosis when you're out in public.
I know.
I can't. If I don't have my loops on in my light, I can't see anything. So sorry.
I know dentists are like that. With me, I'm usually half lit or whatever, and I'm like, oh yeah, let me look at them. And I'm like, I freaking have spent so many thousands of dollars on my own money for everyone, my friends and people I'm in. Oh yeah, we'll take care of you. Don't worry. Yeah, I just got to send you this over to Doctor in Anaheim. His office ain't the prettiest, but he does get dentistry. And otherwise I got to send you this guy. It's not cost you this much. I can send you a guy over here, and it's my buddies. It's like it's so sad, when you get people that are just their confidence and their self-esteem are down, and man, it just brings a tear to my eye. Just look at that. And it's like what I do for a living. I do a lot of teeth every day, and so I think that's just my part, that I create smiles every day, and I'm going to try to help everyone I can. If they're down on their luck and they don't have the money, I got resources that we can help you guys, and especially when they really deserve it and they can help a person. I just love that. But well, that's awesome, dude. So tell me, what about have you had to adapt with the technological advancements in your field? You got a cone beam at all, or do you thinking about getting maybe a little trios there for a 3Shape for impressions? What are you thinking about on technology going forward? Anything on the horizon that you're thinking about, or anything that you have that you'd like to tell us about a little bit?
Yeah, so I own a CEREC. I've probably been not quite CEREC 2, but shortly thereafter I've had one since then, and I used to use it a ton, and it just collects dust for me now, and I had to at least use it to do the digital impressions, but I feel like I've got such a solid system there, it's been hard for me to want to try to take the time to make that work, but so I've got a CEREC that's paid for that every once in a while I'll pull out and make a nice onlay for somebody, but for the most part I'm doing everything with you guys. So, but and then with the cone beam, I'll probably within the year I'll have one. I think that
How much are those? I don't even know. How much is a comb bean nowadays? Hey, 100 grand or I don't even know.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like everything in dentistry now is $100,000, but that's sort of the price that they throw out. So yeah, I think everything's around there. But I place a lot of implants, and because I've been doing it for so long, I feel like I mean it's like the thing that people say that people hate, but I feel like it's easier for me just to make an incision and look at the bone and decide where to put it. But every once in a while, I have one afterwards where I'm like, I could have done better, and it's those ones I'd like to improve upon. And then
do you ever use my delineators to help you place those at all, or have you ever tried?
Yeah, we've used those, and they're helpful. So I'll use those if I'm going to be doing, especially I'm going to be doing multiple implants in between other teeth. So if I'm like going to do an implant for 30 and 29, so I've got 2 that I want to put in, just a little trickier to make sure they're spaced properly and parallel and whatnot. So I've used them for that kind of situation.
That takes some big balls though, dude, to pull back a flap and just freaking drill those implants in. I mean, I've had a couple in my mouth, and it's amazing. And it's just like getting a crown prep, man. There's nothing more. I mean, it really isn't. There's no pain, and it's mine. We had put some Straumann in there, but it took like 3 months for the osseointegrated and all that good stuff. But it was just like a crown prep. I mean, if not even that, but it's amazing, the technology. I mean, what are you finding with your implants? What do you like? Do you do a lot of Nobles? Do you do Straumann? Tell me a little bit about your implant of choice.
I'm an Implant Direct Legacy guy mostly, so that's the main one I do. I'll have done some BioHorizons, done some Nobel in the past, but yeah, pretty much Implant Direct Legacy implants are the main ones that I'm placing.
That's the name of your dental practice, isn't it? Legacy Dental?
Yeah, maybe that's why we went that direction. Actually, I had some things to do with implant design, I hope, but maybe that was I got sucked into by some subliminal marketing or something. But yeah, they've been a good system for probably almost as much as anything. They've made kind of inventorying, and is that a word?
Yeah.
And keeping track of stuff easier than other stuff. And so for a general dentist, they've been really great to work with. So
what's an amazing true fact about you that you're willing to share with the audience?
Amazing true fact. I wish I was more interesting. I lived in South America for 2 years as a Mormon missionary. That's, I guess, kind of interesting and amazing.
Really? Tell me a little bit. What part of South America? Where was that at?
So I lived in Uruguay, which is just south of Brazil and to the right of Argentina. And I was lived in some little small villages and towns where I was the only person that spoke English. And
you're kidding.
Did that for a couple of years. So that was a fun time.
How was that, dude? Was that just like with the food and stuff? I mean, I bet it was tough. It wasn't like you're be able to go to McDonald's or anything like that, right?
Yeah, when the capital of Uruguay is Montevideo, and when I was there during this halfway through the second year when I was there, they got their first McDonald's down there, and it was all these guys from the States were just so excited to go there. But the food actually was pretty good. Actually, they had some. It wasn't, they ate a lot of tripe or the cow intestine, which most people knew we didn't like that, so we'd usually eat at people's houses that were nice enough to feed us, and they knew that we didn't like it, so they'd feed us other stuff.
What about the government? Was the safety? Was it what kind of government do they have? Is it they have a democracy? Or?
Yeah, democratic government. They had I think when I got there, one of the presidents, I'm guessing, let's see, this is 90 to 90, 91 to 93. So would that have been Reagan? I think one of them had just visited. And so there was some, anti-U.S. propaganda around. But no, most people were pretty friendly and excited to talk to somebody from the United States. And they would, Mormon missionaries, they were right around with white shirts on. And so they would yell huevos, which is eggs in Spanish, which is the slang word for testicles. So that's what they would yell at us all the time. They're like, huevos, or being kind of the equivalent of calling somebody balls or something, just because they thought we looked like a set of testicles riding around.
That's funny.
But people were nice, and it was a good time.
No kidding. I always say you got big huevos, like cut those implants like that, pull that flat back, and I never knew what Wavels was, I think now.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So
Well, good for you.
So,
No, that's
so
awesome.
I learned Spanish and still get a chance to use that quite a bit with patients and things. And so it's good.
God, how the heck? I took 2 years of Spanish in high school, and all I know is the bad words get me killed, man. That's just so stupid. That's why I could never have been a dentist. I mean, you guys have to learn so much science and math, and you guys are like scientists. I mean, you really have to do a lot. I mean, I remember my brother Kevin going through dental school, and he's saying after 2 years, I can still go be a doctor of medicine, or I can be a dentist. And it's just like, he chose to be a dentist, but endodontist, but there's just so much to it. And just, it's you got to be sharp, be a dentist, man. Go to dental school and go through all that. You got to just memorize. I was never good at testing or anything, but hats off to all you guys that did all that you did with your education and everything else. And it's just, my hat's off to you guys, because you're smart. You're some smart people out there, these dentists, for sure. So tell me a little bit about, what do you do when you're not working? Anything? I know you like, I think you like computers, skiing, vacation. Tell me a little bit about your things that you do outside of work.
So I've got 5 kids. My oldest is a senior in high school, and my youngest is in kindergarten. So,
dude, that's so crazy. Boys or girls? Boys or girls?
So 3 girls. So I got one girl that's a senior, and she's a dancer. Actually, all the girls are dancers, and the girl in 9th grade, and a girl in 7th grade, and then a son that's in 4th grade and a son that's in kindergarten. So right now I'm at the stage of my life where pretty much all my free time is hanging out with my kids, and it's great. So they're all busy doing sports and being busy. So it's fun going around supporting them. And
hey, let me know
to do stuff, we usually hang out.
Let me know on the mouth guards for those boys. We'll make them some custom mouth guards, man. I'm telling you, we'll put their names and their logos, whatever you want. But
we should do it.
No, that's easy. Just take me a little impression. Even a little algae in it if you want. Put a little damp, wet paper towel and overnight it. No. No, that's so cool that you had. I've come from a family of 5. We had 4 boys, and I was youngest of the 4th boy, and then a younger sister, and then my mom, she got remarried and had another sister, so we got 6. But we come from a big family. There's nothing like family, man, and it's hard, but it's so awesome, dude. 5 kids, man.
When we travel, I think we were in California one time and eating dinner, and there's a little family next to us. It was just a mom and dad and single kid, and the little mom leaned over and said, "Is that?" She thought maybe my wife was the octo mom. So I'm just seeing a family with that many kids. So we get some funny looks depending on where we go. So, but it's great. It's busy.
Well, they say you're not even really a parent with only 1 kid.
No. Yeah.
So you don't really even know what it's like. You got to have more than one to be a true parent. No, I'm just kidding on that. But I remember people used to say that. It's like, well, you only have 1 kid. Oh,
I think one's about as hard. One's probably the hardest, because you have to entertain them all the time. Once you have more than that, then they kind of entertain each other. So
exactly. I did it with puppies about 9 months ago. I said, no, I'm not just getting 1, honey. We're getting 2, because they want to play with each other. We always do it like every 2 years after. We'll get another second dog, but our dog, we had to put him down about a year ago, and then I went out and did it without telling her. And don't ever do that. Even 35 years of marriage, man, I'm still getting so much static for it. And every single thing with these dogs, I got to do it. I never had to do it. Mama always did it before, but now these little dogs are,
they're yours, huh?
Yeah. Oh, they're mine. All right. It's like, and they're little bulldogs. Like, they're just so full of piss and vinegar, these guys, like little French bulldogs, man. And I don't know. They're like cousins or mothers or sisters, and they got 2 different fathers, but these guys just come around the corner and look at each other, and they get up on their hind legs, and they like want to just fight and attack, but they kind of love each other, but they love wrestling, and they're just going through that age.
Awesome.
But man,
that's great.
Yeah, it'll keep you young, man. You got to keep on those dogs, otherwise they chewed all our furniture already and all this new stuff. My wife's just so livid, but I said it'll be good. At like 2-3 years old, they'll be fine, honey. So we're just
gotta get through that part.
Yeah. May 30th and May 9th, they'll be 1 year old respectively. So yeah. That's a little shout out to Levi and Cash. We got Levi Blue and we got Cockeyed Cash. It's like,
great name.
Yeah, I mean, one's a blue one and one's a lilac. They're kind of kind of trippy just looking at them. They look like little monsters. But well, dude, I can't thank you enough, man. What kind of advice can you give to any new dentist starting off, or even some existing ones, some do's and don'ts, or from such a successful practice that you have? What kind of advice can you give some more people out there, Dr. Campbell?
Oh, I think that to find a good mentor, whether that's, working with somebody else or somebody else in the community. I think dentistry can be pretty isolating. And so I think to have somebody that you can bounce ideas off, especially somebody that's in the field is great. I think some of the, ability to do that electronically is nice, but it's even better to have somebody that you can kind of sit down face to face or go grab lunch with every once in a while and kind of vent or get bounce ideas off. So I think that's an important thing for a new dentist to figure out how to do that, and somebody that you can trust. I think that to treat people fairly and to do the best you can. I think with a lot of the PPOs and things, sometimes there's a temptation to do things faster or halfway, and the only way that works out is if you're only at the job for a year, because otherwise it's going to come back to you, and you're going to be in a situation where you have having to decide, okay, well, do I do this for free, or do I tell them it's somehow their fault, even though it's probably not. So I think to make sure that you find yourself in a situation where you've got the time to do it right. And especially when you're, new out of school, it takes time to figure that out. I think as a, new dentist, you don't have the experience of getting to see your follow-up. Yeah. And so you don't really realize what works and what won't. And so I think that's important to make sure you allow yourself enough time. And I think just to be kind to people. I think that, I think a lot of people, and myself included, sometimes the job can be pretty stressful and can be hard. And I find that usually when I notice that, it's that I find myself treating teeth and not people. So I think that if I can kind of get myself back in that mindset that, hey, I'm treating somebody that's a person that's got things that they're worried about and concerned about. And if I can, kind of treat them as a person instead of a tooth, then it makes the job a lot more enjoyable, as long as they're not too crazy. If they're too crazy, then that's not. Then it's not. Then sometimes actually it's even more fun.
Yeah, exactly.
As long as they're crazy, it doesn't become your crazy. So I don't know. Those are my words of advice.
Yeah, those are words of wisdom, baby, man. And well, Dr. Cam, I can't thank you enough for all that you do, and just it's a great podcast, great story, and you just really practice with just great spirit, and you just got great hands, and I just can't thank you for all that you've done with us. And anything I can ever do, please let me know. And feel free when you're out here. We'd love to have you out here. If you're ever in the area, just bring those kids, man. We'll put you up at Disneyland there and everything else. And we have a bunch of different seminars here, so we got to get you out here for sure. And we'd love to help take care of you on that. And just let us know when you got some free time. Those kids, man, we got everything here: Wally World, Knott's Berry Farm, Disneyland, Magic Mountain. We got the mountains, the desert, and the sea all within an hour or two of each other. So you can do a little bit of everything here, and it's pretty fun. And then we'll give you something to write off. We'll give you something to write off for your tax, man, saying what a great seminar you gave me, and on and on and on. Hook you up, baby.
Sounds great. Well, I appreciate all the fine work you guys have done over the years. It's been a good team, good partnership. So for a larger lab, you guys do an amazing job of getting stuff right. And when the times it doesn't quite turn out right, everybody makes it right. So it's been great doing business with you guys. So appreciate all your good work.
Well, thank you so much. And we, we'll work hard every day. It's like, you're only as good as your last crown, and we don't forget that. And it's just, we can't, just celebrate on our past victories. We gotta be in the real and the now every day, because there's all new patients every day. So, and we don't forget that. And it's just every case, you try to think about like it's going into your own mouth. And we got some really passionate people that love working here, and it's why we are doing good. It's just, we got some great people, and that we want to do good for you guys. And we want to, there's a lot of labs out there. There's a lot of dentists got a lot of choices, and we know that. Mm-hmm. Just like, there's a lot of patients got a lot of choices for different dentists, but they keep coming to you because you treat them good and you treat them fair, and you do some great dentistry, and you happen to have a real good lab too. So that helps. It all helps.
Yeah. Amen.
Amen. Well, hey, God bless you and your family. Thank you so much, Dr. Campbell. And gosh, if you ever need anything, man, feel free to reach out to me and just ask whatever you need. I'm here for you, baby. And again, thanks for your time. I know you're so busy, man. You squeaked this out. I think we might have went a little bit over, but thank you for the time, because I know how busy you are, and you got a great staff. Tell everyone thank you so much. And anything you ever need, please let me know.
Yeah, you bet. It was fun. Thank you.
All right, dude. I'll talk to you later, Dr. Campbell. Thanks again.
Thanks for joining us on the Dental Up Podcast Show this week. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or search the Dental Up Podcast on iTunes for our weekly feed. Don't forget to visit KeatingDentalArts.com/promo for exclusive offers. Keating Dental Arts is a full-service dental laboratory, and we're nationwide. We'd love for you to send us a case so we can show you the Keating difference. If you dig what you heard, please leave a review on iTunes, and we'll be back next week.